Now, I get this question all the time. Why did I stay with my wife who passed away from alcohol use disorder and we were married for 25 years? And if this is the first time seeing me, a lot of my page goes over the stories and the ups and downs of what my wife went through, and ultimately she succumbed to the disease. But I get this all the time. Why did I stay through all these horrors and trials and tribulations? And if you follow me, you understand this. No, there's a lot of different reasons, and I'm going to go over this. I've answered it before, but I'm going to answer it in more depth, and I'm probably going to just say, refer to a file on the top of the page, because it's just a question I can't keep answering over and over again. You have to realize every situation and every relationship with an alcoholic is completely different, and there's a lot of layers and a lot of personalities and situations, both economic, emotional, physical, and psychological, that you have to work through as both a alcoholic and as a family member to that alcoholic. And it's very important to take all these into consideration. Now, it's easy for a keyboard warrior to sit behind the keyboard and go, "Why'd you stay? What's wrong with you?" And really not have the intricacies and the depth and of understanding of why someone would stay in a relationship like this. And it's customizable, and there's really no correct answer for anybody on the fact that I did. But yep, let's delve into this a little. And to begin with, I go over this because I know this answer and my answers will resonate with a lot of families who are going through this and have to make these kind of decisions. In my wife's case, from about 2014 until she passed away in 2020. So there was a good 6, almost 7 years where it was the tough years. It was the years where she was going into late stage 3 and into stage 4 alcohol use disorder, and it really consumed her. And I think it kind of started with, she had a gastric sleeve bypass in 2014, and unfortunately she was explained to her repeatedly that she should never drink again, and of course it escalated. And unfortunately, when you have a gastric sleeve bypass, the absorption rate in your body, I think it quadruples, and it certainly exacerbated her alcohol intake, and really, I think it certainly became part of the reason why it escalated into her ultimate demise. But why did I stay during this? You have to realize Amanda really didn't live with us all the time. She did go to 7 rehabilitation facilities, 30 days apiece. I mean, that's 210 days. She got 4 DUIs, and as a result, she was incarcerated once for 55 days, another time for 65 days. She went to over a dozen hospital stays, some for 10 days. She had psych holds for 10 and 20 days at a time because she was trying to detox on her own. I have to call 911. There was a time that she over-medicated herself with prescription drugs. I've told these different stories, but you have to realize all these events were going on over and over and over again. So you hang in there and hoping that this particular detox rehab is going to stay and it's going to hold, and you have hope, and then it goes away. And you have to realize when you go visit her, like on the 3rd and 4th weeks that she's in her rehab, well, she's back and she's bubbly and she's herself, and you have so much hope. And so you hang in there. I mean, generally, you hang in there because, gosh, she might be back. This might be it. And then you come home from work 2 or 3 weeks after the rehab and she's drunk on the couch. And it's like, well, she was there and now she's gone. And for family members and for myself, definitely, it's a roller coaster. It's up and down and up and down. And as time goes by, sometimes you don't have the introspection really to observe what you're going through because you're too close to the fire and you spend so much time dealing with it. Now, while all this was going on, I mean, I had my own business. I was running an insurance brokerage. It took a lot of my time. I had to raise our son. I worked out a lot. I ended up really developing my own life outside the marriage, and I think for self-preservation I had to do this because I realized there's only so much I could do for my wife. I was certainly there to support her, but I also had to take care of myself and our son. And a lot of that was on my shoulders. And that's a big part of it. Expelling my wife from us, from our family, I think it would have destroyed her. And I think my son would have had a big problem with it too, because I had conversations with him when he was 14, 16, 18 years old. And I did ask for his input, and his input was, near the end, do what you need to do by the time he got out of the house, but while he still lived with us. And my goal was to get him through his childhood. And as we've talked recently, he was glad, it played out the way it was. He was glad that we did remain as a family. And I think that's really the most important thing of all. And then, of course, there's the economic reasons. I mean, if I had to separate from her, as the man, I would have had to put her up into an apartment and pay for a second place, or a third place in my case, for her to live. I would have to pay for her utilities. These are responsibilities that you have to do as a man when you divide up assets in the state of California. And the reality was that my wife probably wouldn't have survived more than 3, 4, 5 weeks on her own. We'd already had experiences like that. She would have drank herself into oblivion. It would have just been an unbelievable horror show if that had taken place. And I knew that reality. That was not a reality. And unfortunately, she got to the point, certainly in the last few years, where she was too mentally, physically, and psychologically fragile to have any attempt to go live by herself or to live away from us. And that was one of her biggest fears, to be honest with you. It was one of the traumas that she had when she was a child, was to be expelled from the family. And I had, without a shadow of a doubt, that would have been her demise. And to make that decision, I would have had to have lived with that. So I'm glad it did play out the way that it did. And really, at the end of the day, it's a heartbreaking story. It's a heartbreaking thing for myself to go through, for families to go through. There are no good answers, and there are no good endings. Ultimately, the person has to take it upon themselves to get into sobriety and to get in a position where they can maintain sustainable sobriety. It's 100% the responsibility of the alcoholic. And if they're not able to do that, then you have to make and prepare for what's to come, and none of it is going to be good or exciting or happy, unfortunately. When you get a late stage 3, stage 4 alcoholic, the family is going to get a lot of brunt of the problem, and they can either walk away, and that's okay too. You can do that, or go limited contact. There's all kinds of boundaries, all kinds. I hope that makes sense. Now, I know this video's gone a little bit long, but it's an important subject that needs to be discussed and dissected, and thanks for hanging in there. Again, on that note, my wife's memoir is called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. Again, it's the story of her 25-year decline with alcohol use disorder, and she passed away on February 21st of 2020, coming up on 5 years. And again, I go live Monday through Friday, right around 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We also have the Facebook group. It's called There's an Alcoholic in the Family. Please join that. And when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, I have the coaching program. Set up a breakthrough call. Link, again, is in the bio. Takes about 45 minutes to an hour. We do a deep dive into what's going on with you and your family. Please bring all the components, the alcoholic and the family, together in the meeting. I'm looking for people who want to change their lives and the lives of their family, because the call is free. The course is definitely not. And again, thanks so much for listening.